It's the first sprint round of the World GT Championship Season 12, and where better to take part in those races than round here at the Autodromo Nazionale Monza. Well, we're in the outskirts of Milan, and it's Paul Smith and Peter Mackay on commentary today. And Peter, I mean, what can't you say about the cathedral of speed that is Monza?
It's a wonderful location, isn't it, to go motor racing? And even better, Paul, you'll appreciate this. They've hosted a round of the World Rally Championship as well. Yeah. So it's definitely up in my eyes. But sprint racing around this layout, big moves on the brakes, big moves, desperate moves possibly. But this is going to be an action-packed night for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll look at the schedule that we've had so far in this season, and it was started off at Barcelona with endurance round. Then we headed just a few hundred miles away from our current location at Imola last week. This week we're at Monza before we have a week off. Then in 2 weeks' time, we're at Atlanta for the second endurance race and for historic motorsport venue. Road America and then Daytona round out the North America run of circuits. So we get another week off before Fuji, Long Beach and Phillip Island, and then finishing off the season Spa-Francorchamps, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. 3 historic European Grand Prix venue, but we have got championship standings to look at, Peter, because after the first 2 weeks, well, it's our reigning champion, Ross McFarlane, who's leading ahead of Alex Davidson, but newcomer Jakub Machewski not doing too bad. He's not that far away.
Not at all, and I think that first win is coming soon for Machewski. He's shown some fantastic speed. Sometimes the strategy hasn't quite worked out his way, but he's new to this championship, of course, but in terms of lap time, he's right there.
Yeah, and he's got his teammates there as well in the championship of Garland Caroni. So Moradna's Satellite E-Stars doing a fantastic job with Brabham Esports Albert in 6th. Of Doka, Thompson, Armstrong and Fletcher round out the top 10. In Pro-Am, it's Chris van der Ness. I mean, what a start to the season he's had, but it's very close between him and Jensen Adriansen's. Just 8 points separate those two, and Mark Hutchinson as well in there after having a good week last time out. Paul Webster as well for Full Tilt V-Sport. That change of team for him. And Michael Gray is there with him as well. Richard Simner as well joining him on 225 points. So you look at how close Pro-Am is. We say this each season, Peter. This is always a tight championship.
And we've got three drivers there: Chris van der Ness, Jensen Adriansen and Mark Hutchison, last season's champion, of course, who they're going to be going at it all season long. You can be sure that they'll be there all the way through, and pick a winner out of those 3. I wouldn't want to put money on it.
Samways, Horder, Perry and Barnes, the last of the top 10 in Pro-Am. Then in the Am standings, well, it's Ethan Critchler who leads that one for Century Sim Esports, just 6 points ahead of Adam Coles for Evo SR. Martin de Jong is then in 3rd place ahead of Paddy Faulkner. with Crawford and Lars Van Rijn, of course, last season's AM champion. It's, 96 points covering first to sixth there. So again, AM, it's not really that big a gap in the top six there.
No, not at all. And the thing is with the AM class as well, they're scoring the same overall points as the pro drivers, but so obviously they're finishing a little bit further down the order, so their wins aren't as big in terms of points. So yeah, you really, if you can get a big result in there, it can really boost you up the table quite quickly in AM.
Pay Wilkins, May, Raab and Hedgecock round out the top 10 in your AM standings. In the endurance standings, well, we've only had one endurance race, and that was the first one. And look at that, Alex Gall was the best one by half a point, because of course you do get half a point for every position that you gain in the endurance races. So of course he gained positions in that race. So even though Ross McFarlane won the race overall, Gall is the one who is currently leading that one by half a point. But Enduro Cup, it's always a fascinating one to see how that one pans out, because I mean, look, McEwen last season won that championship, and unfortunately for him, it was the only championship he won.
Yeah, that's right, Paul. It's hard to forget that crazy season that we had last season. Now with Luke McEwen, so quick, but potential, mistake prone, you could say, and Ross McFarlane really capitalised on that. This year, Ross McFarlane, his biggest enemy might come from within actually. Alex Davidson, his early season pace, very promising.
Absolutely indeed. And team standings as well, because we've got those. Pure Sims Esports, they've got a comfortable lead in this early stages ahead of Maradna's Satellite E-Stars. Evo SR, look at them, third place in the team standings. They're the top Pro-Am team, and they've got a healthy margin over the next Pro-Am team. DCW Racing, who are 7th overall, with Boosted Virage, Century Sim Esports and Parabellum Racing Simability. But look at that, Brabham Esports, 4th overall, 3rd in Pro. They're not that far ahead of Full Tilt V Motorsport and Altitude Esports either. Well, that's the standings there, Peter, and I mean, it's the early stages, so we can't read too much into the standings as things stand at the moment, because drop scores, of course, come into play later on in the season.
They do, but you don't want to use up your drop scores too much. The better your dropped week is, that really makes a difference. Again, in last season's World GT Championship and in the World Touring Car Series as well, it really again played in our eventual champion Ross McFarlane. It was because his drop weeks were less bad, for lack of a better description.
Well, these drivers are going to be attacking this Monza circuit, and it is Ross McFarlane and Alexander Davidson. You pointed them out. 5/1000ths of a second separating the two of them. Michael Evdoka and Jakub Majewski is row number 2. Row 3 by Yannis Albert and Josh Thompson. Row 4 is shared by James Armstrong and Mark Fletcher. Tom Dadswell and Jared Crony on row number 5 with Andy Shield. Row 6 alongside Martin de Jong. What a position for the amateur driver in 12th place. 13th for Jack Cedric alongside him is the top Pro-Am of Mark Hutchinson. Then it's Russell Barnes, Ethan Critchley with Jack Osborne and Adam State. On row number 10, it's Chris van der Ness and Mark Woodhouse. Richard Simner and Andy Archer on row number 11 with Alex Nella and Alex Gall sharing row number 12. You're on Kaiser with Lee Berridge sharing row number 13. Row 14, it's Sarah Raab and Christian Malcharek with Matthias Drozda and Adam Coles sharing row number 15. Row 16 for Ben Gregory and Jonathan Walker with Kevin Kittleman and Jesse Payne Wilkins on the 17th row of the grid. 18th row of the grid for Phil Samways and Patrick Faulkner. Row 19 for Eric Haag and Adam Hedgecock with Paul Webster down on the 20th row, sharing that with Brendan Stacey. Andy Gilmore and Brian Son on row number 21. Row 22, Nick Salapertis, Lars Van Rijn, with Simon Neller, David Nichols, Michael Gray. There are further drivers on the grid who are serving penalties. Pete Harrod, Adam Watson, who's racing with a fractured bone in his elbow, so he's doing it the hard way again. Craig Jones, Ed May, Michael Blake, James Whitehouse, and Jack Belton all starting from the back of the grid. But Peter, we've got about half a lap for drivers to get their tyres prepped. Do we just sit here and pray for a nice clean opening to this race?
Yes, yes, we do. One thing that strikes me, Paul, is the difference compared to the first two rounds, you know, where we've really seen a head-to-head battle between the Pure Sims cars and the satellite racing cars. Bit of a difference this time around where, you know, where Jakub Maciuski does not have the cover and the support of his teammates, whereas the Pure Sims drivers are very much in support there as well. And in a circuit where the draft is really important, that's really going to make Jakub Maciuski, certainly this first race, very, very difficult as well with his, Alex Gall, 24th on the grid. It shows you that Porsche is not a sprint car, it's an endurance car.
It certainly is. We're looking at 146s for lap times for your top drivers as they come around the I'll always know it as the Parabolica. I mean, it was renamed a couple of years ago, but it is always Parabolica for me. But the drivers will be looking to start gantry. Now, you do not get the green flag here, you get it all the way down the straight, but they're going early. They're trying to sort themselves out into a line early on. Green flag will be coming out now, and we're underway for racing. The first race of 3 tonight. 20-minute races, no pit stops that are planned in towards turn number 1. Now, will everyone get through here? That is the big question, because it is always the problem here at Monza. That first chicane and the second chicane, to be fair, are always big bottlenecks for the drivers. But so far, so good. Everybody's slow, but they are getting through here, Peter, which is good to see.
Absolutely top marks to all of our drivers there. It cannot be stressed how difficult that is to get over 50 GT3 cars through that incredibly tight chicane. Well done to all the drivers. That's not easy. Oh no, I've cursed it.
Well, it was the second chicane. I said that the second chicane could be an instant place as well. And it's the old commentator's curse, isn't it? That's come to fruition there, as drivers get themselves back on, but there are a couple with some damage. You do get a fast repair in the series, though. That's Lee Berridge taking to the exit, and more drama. Kevin Kittleman, who has been doing all right in that Indy Autosport red car. Not so much today with damage to the side of his car, but we're staying green flag racing though, Peter. So we've not had a track blockage, as up at the front is Ross McFarlane from Alex Davidson, Michael Evdoka. It's a Pure Sims Esports 1, 2, 3.
It is indeed flying formation at the moment for those silver arrows for Pure Sims, and yeah, they've got to play this one smart. They won't want to be throwing overtake moves at each other. They could do, but I would think you will see the Pure Sims outfit show quite a lot of control here and try and build a bit of an advantage, work together in a pack racing environment. If you've got multiple allies, it gives such an advantage.
You see how Alex Davidson, how early he was on the brakes compared to Ross McFarlane. He does not want to get into the rear end of his teammate and cause him all manner of problems at that first chicane. I do want to mention it again. Martin de Jong is in 11th place. He's actually gained a place from where he started. He's your top am, as we're going almost 4 wide on the exit of the Rettifilio.
It is amazing how just sheer grunt and horsepower are so important at Monza. Not just because of the long straights, but you come out of a lot of slow corners as well. So that drive, that torque to get the car boogieing out the corner is so important as well. It appears like the Mercedes AMG cars seem to have that advantage at the moment as well. But watch out for those BMWs. They've got some good grunt too.
Certainly have. I mean, the Audis are known to have a bit of poke about them as well, to be fair. So, I'm
surprised. Do you want to run one in lower downforce, though?
Well, that's the big question. Adam State making some moves here. He's already up 3 positions from where he started. So the Maradness satellite team moving forward. I can tell you his teammate as well, Jared Caroni, has gained positions 3 places from where he started. Alex Gall, 24th. Oh, it's contact into the Parabolica. Who was that? That's one of the Evo SR cars. It's Mark Hutchinson. He's faced the wrong way. What on earth has happened there to cause him to be faced the wrong way? I can take an educated guess, Peter. Some contact.
Yeah, could be there at Alboreto for Mark Hutchison. Well, that's one of our contenders in the Pro-Am Championship, of course, defending champion in that class, and he looks to have a bit of damage on that Mercedes AMG, and I don't think he actually... I think that's that... Oh, no, it's Alex Neller again. Oh, no. Oh,
it's Matt Woodhouse has joined him as well in the runoff there.
Oh, gives him a love tap on the way past. Oh, dear. Poor old Alex Neller, he has just had the season from hell so far, this season 12 of the World GT Championship.
So here's what happened back on lap 1. So there's a little bit of a squeeze. Lee Berridge goes for a spin, and then there's just all manner of chaos then happened into the Della Roggia. Drivers were able to make it through in all of that. As here's another look at that one. So Lee Berridge is on the brakes. There's T-bones your own Kaiser. Very little you can do then. When you're on the grass there, it's just you're just a hope and a prayer to try and get and not collect anyone in all of that.
That was kind of like watching. As Alex Neller has said, that is not a controlled Chris Harris power slide there from Alex Neller. That is a Porsche with a very broken suspension.
Oh no! This is a replay. So something's happened here, and Neller contact. He's up in the catch fence, and there's Pete Harrod involved in that one as well. The 17 of Jack Belton getting involved in that one. We've got yet more replays. This is what happened down at the Rettifilia. So this is Neller making a move, and there's a car on the inside. Contact is made.
Mercedes came through there and blinked out.
Yeah.
I don't see who it was, but...
So that's where Neller gets his damage. And there's a little kiss with the measure, just to make sure that the suspension's damaged and out of track.
I think he was maybe trying to bang it back into line for him, possibly. It's just the thing is when the pack is so tightly together, it just takes one tiny bit of contact, and it's a little bit like when you were a kid playing 10-pin bowling with the barriers up. There's going to be contact when you get to the end of the lane. So, well, back at the front, Ross McFarlane has the fastest lap of the race without a slipstream. That's quite important. So Alex Davidson definitely following every move of his teammate there, and actually they've made a little bit of a break from Michael Evdoka, and we've seen how hard Evdoka can defend, and that's not what Jakub Machuski will want to hear in fourth place.
No, he will not at all. They run it all the way out over the AstroTurf on the exit of the Ascara chicane, and almost touching the gravel there. And the problem is, if you do just dip just a little bit of that loaded up outside tyre, that right hand tyre on the exit of the Ascara chicane, if you do just dip a little bit of that into the gravel, before you know it, you're facing the wrong way and you're heading straight to the barrier and saying hello to Mr. Armco. And definitely Alex Davidson is right up the rear end, but again, touching the brakes, getting out of the throttle. I just get the feeling that Alex is just sitting there, he's biding his time. There won't be any team orders. I can tell you that now in Pure Sims. There won't be any team orders as there's an Audi facing the wrong way at the curve at Alboreto. Out the corner.
I'm surprised Michael Gray didn't come to the pit lane there and try and get a fast strip there, but it's such a short race though that maybe you just have to tough it out for a few more laps and until the flag. It's hard to say. The car looks relatively straight, but I do agree with you there, Paul. I do think Alex Davidson is sitting behind, and even if there isn't any team orders, I think he's doing the smart thing, because as soon as he starts to if he tried to make a pass straight away, he doesn't have the pace to pull away from Ross McFarlane, especially with the effect of the slipstream, and all that would do is bring more players into the fray. I think if he's going to make a move for the race lead, it'll be much later in this sprint race.
Yeah, there's no point going for it too early. You're disadvantaging both yourself and the guy in front as well. Oh, Michael Gray, a little bit rude on was that Gal?
Gal.
No, it was David Nichols that he was alongside there into the Della Roggia. And that's Nichols dropping down. One of the few Porsches on the grid, and yeah, you're absolutely right, Peter. Those Porsches are really suffering here today, just lacking that top speed. Ethan Critchley, he's eCentric Sim Esports, not having the best of races. He's the leading car of those who have been on pit road. And interesting fact that I actually shared with Peter before the race. Ethan Critchley, son of former Rugby League international player Jason Critchley. I actually saw Jason play for Wales in the Rugby League World Cup in 2000 against Australia, and for 55 minutes we believed that something magic was going to happen, but then Australian players decided, okay, enough playing, let's actually win this one.
That is my favourite bit of colour of the season so far, Paul. That's fantastic. Imagine your dad being an international rugby league player. That's cool. That is very, very cool. Wonder what he does nowadays. Maybe Ethan will come in for an interview and we can ask him.
Well, I can tell you that he played for Keighley, played for Widnes, played for Wakefield and Castleford as well. So he was a well-versed player around the clubs in the Rugby League in the Northern Hemisphere, and certainly was a good centre and winger from what I remember of watching him as a young lad back in the day, Peter.
Back in the good old days, yeah, absolutely. I tell you who's having a good old day today. This is some drive from Martin de Jong to do this on pure pace. Race 1, where we're in grid order, we're not reverse grid like we will be in race 2 and 3. And if he can hold on to even a top 15, that would be a huge chunk of points for the AM class.
Craig Jones pulled over and taken the car on the tow truck, on the virtual tow truck, back to the pit road. This is at the De La Roja, and that is some front to rear contact from an Audi. Craig did a good job actually to get that car out the way, because that was quite out of control.
I didn't see which Vital Motorsport Audi it was, but yeah, there's just a disagreement in braking points there, it seemed. Got a move here on one of the Brabham BMWs. Altitude Esports trying to make their way by, and Brabham's Esports car says absolutely no chance. Try again soon.
That's Albert and Dadswell and Andy Shield. Series admin Andy Shield is loitering with intent there in the 3M car. You mentioned about De Jong. It's worth pointing out he's keeping in the draft of a World Championship quality driver in Jack Sedgwick. Okay, draft plays a big part of around this track, but you've got to be quick through the twisty stuff as well. You can't just be quick down the straights here.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, to be able to do that. And, of course, in turn, Jack Sedgwick is getting a tow himself as well. So you play that in five. This is not doing the long-term aspirations of Martin de Jong's AM licence much good, it must be said. But nevertheless, we must applaud it. Very impressive indeed. And Martin, of course, not new to the championship either. He's been with us for a few seasons, so great to see him running up the front. It's great. We've had a kind of AM class hero every week so far, Paul.
Yeah.
Ed May in week 1, Ethan Critchley last week, and Martin de Jong this week.
Yeah, it certainly is mixing things up, which we love to see, and this is what this series brings you, doesn't it? It gives people opportunities. Speaking of not having opportunities, Andy Gilmore is not
a happy Gilmore.
Certainly not. Thank you, Peter. He's trying to get back going again. Now, is that car driving in the straight line? I think it is. Meanwhile, Mark Fletcher is saying, thank you, Jared Caroni. I'll take that place from you. 6th place for Fletcher, and behind him, Tom Dadswell has got past Albert as well. So 2 moves and 2 changes of position for 6th and for 8th as well.
Here we see Caroni for Satellite Racing trying to get a move done here as well. They've lost touch with 5th position Jakub Maciuski, who has in turn actually lost a place to Josh Thompson. So Josh Thompson is on the move, albeit a couple of seconds behind Michael Evdoka. So it just shows you there that with Thompson making a move on Maciuski, they've lost touch with Evdoka. You've got to be so smart here at Monza in terms of making your moves through, and every move has a real cost in lap time.
P6 Esports must be absolutely loving this. I bet Ash Sutton is somewhere watching this on holiday, because the touring cars aren't on at the moment, so I'm sure his son is up somewhere, and he'll be loving this. He'll be watching this on his laptop saying, yep, come on boys, keep it going. Although he won't be happy with our broadcast because we're barely showing them, so we're not getting the sponsors on screen.
There they are. Look,
they're there. But Jared Carone, he's not content with 7th place. He's wanting to move forward into 6th at a minimum, but with 5 3/4 minutes remaining. We're only talking about 3 laps possibly remaining in this race here, Peter, so you need to be timing your move now in this one.
That you do, and Alex Davidson is right on the tail of McFarlane, but here comes Carone. He's got a great run there on Fletcher coming down towards turn 1, and he backs out of it. He just thinks, nope, just hold position, and we could actually see some big moves happening into the final corner, actually, because you really don't want to leave yourself exposed to a counter-attack.
Well, this is it. When do you make that move? If you've got nobody in front of you, Peter, when do you make that move? Do you make it into turn 1 at the start of the last lap? Or do you roll the dice and try and make sure you get a good run through Ascari, get right up close so that when you're going through Curva Alboreto, you get the run out the corner towards the finish line? Because the finish line comes up quick here, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's no big heroic charges to the line. Usually, if you come out the last corner ahead, you should get to the checkered flag ahead. But you never know what could happen there. Is Cedric holding off Albert? There he is for Brabham Esports. That must be quite cool to be able to put that on your CV, or more importantly on your Instagram profile. I'm a driver for Brabham.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Albert has actually lost a position there to Sedgwick through the Lesmos. So that Ferrari of Jack Sedgwick, again, not that many Ferraris in our grid here this season, but he's moving forward is Jack. He's moved up 4 positions now from where he started. So it's not the fastest car around here today, which the Tifosi won't be too happy about.
Oh, he'll be getting we'll be seeing Sedgwick getting slated in the Italian press tomorrow morning in the Gazzetta dello Sport. Sedgwick, the dishonour of Italy.
As we're heading on towards now,
he's no Gilles Villeneuve.
No. Jody Scheckter wouldn't have done this, but as we go through the Rettifilia once again, 2 laps remaining in this race, and now you've got to be planning, you've got to be plotting, you've got to get yourself in the right position to make those moves here. This is where that big sort of 4D chess game is currently going on, and you're trying your best to outwit your competitors. And there's an Altitude Esports Ferrari making its way past Jesse Payne Wilkins. So Jesse, that was Adam Hedgecock moving ahead of Jesse, who's down to 26th. Eric Haag is also trying to work well with the teammate, because Parabellum Esports, the 2x2, and they're blocking Adam Watson behind.
They're in Parabellum right now, trying to blocking the road, the pathway through it. Adam Watson coming through from deep in the pack, of course. Had to start from had a qualifying ban after a penalty last time out. Currently 15th in class, in the pro class, so hoping that he'll be hoping for a good draw from the Wheel of Fortune, or the Wheel of Misfortune, as Steph calls it.
And don't forget as well, he's doing it the hard way. He's got that fractured bone in his elbow as well, so he's doing it with no force feedback again. He just can't have that feel. He's had to turn the force feedback completely off, so he's not got no feel as to what the car's doing, which, oh well, he's in an Audi. It's a really forgiving car, isn't it, in iRacing?
Yes, it's. You could say it's a reactive car, so which is not what he not what he needs right now. I mean, even like you could see there going down the straight, actually changing arms to his good arm there, and that's quite amazing. So great to see him carrying on and still racing on top marks.
We should be on to the final lap of the race. It's going to be tight, is this one actually? when they get to the line, so we'll be keeping an eye on the times. But Alex Davidson's still behind as we're watching this battle of Hedgecock and of Eric Haag as they're going through the Rettifilo once again. A slow down penalty, it looks like, behind for one of the drivers. So Brendan Stacey, I think it was just dropping back. But here's Watson once again on board with him, and yeah, he's doing it tough, that is for sure. Leaders, by the way, they're heading on towards the final corner. Here they are. Now it's 3 Pure Sims Esports cars together. I can guarantee that the team boss will be on the blower going, just don't wreck each other. For goodness sake, do not wreck each other. You have got a perfect score on the cards here. We're going to get another lap as well here, Peter. So it's going to be 1 lap showdown for the win here. They've got the gap to be able to put a fight on here.
Well, here comes Davidson then. This is the opportunity. If he's going to make a move, he's right in the draft of Ross McFarlane. Is he going to pull out of the slipstream and go for it? No, he isn't. So if he is planning on making a move, it will be later on in the lap. And if Doka's really come back again, they thought they dropped Doka, but no, Doka's really put in some superb lap times to get right on cue there with McFarlane and Davidson. Whoa! Meanwhile, a 3-way battle between Fletcher, Caroni, and Dadswell. There's a satellite sandwich there. Not an altitude sandwich, because you don't have a bread sandwich, do you?
No, you don't. You don't have a bread sandwich, absolutely. As Adam State has moved up into 14th place on this last lap as well. I noticed that on the timing tower on the left-hand side. As, contact between Caroni. Oh, that's disaster for both Caroni and for the driver Matt Fletcher in the Altitude Esports car.
Big damage on Cedric's front as well.
Yeah, so he's got caught up in all of that, but he's still carrying on here. Out of the Lesmos, down the back straight, but here's the Pure Sims train at the front, and do you know what? I just get that feeling that Alex Davidson is not going to make a move. He says, trying to curse it so that he does make a move, but we'll look down towards Alboreto right now, and he is gaining. He's catching up in that slipstream. Onto the brakes. Oh, he's braking early. He doesn't want to get into the back of McFarlane. McFarlane, though, good exit out of Curva Alboreto. Coming up to the finish line once again. It's a race win here for Ross McFarlane for Pure Sims Esports. It's a Pure Sims Esports 1-2-3 with Davidson and Evdoka second and third. Looking back in your field, your top AM, Martin de Jong, is going to come across the line in 12th place here. He's got Jared Caroni, the recovering Caroni, behind him. 12th place for your top AM. Your top pro-am is Russell Barnes. I believe that's his first pro-am victory of the season as well. So tremendous results from both the AM and the pro-am drivers here, Peter.
Absolutely fantastic there. Martin de Jong, 12th overall, and that is a huge chunk of points towards his championship tally. And these are the big wins that you can get in the AM class. You really are rewarded for that great overall result as they still bicker all the way around as well. Is that Nick Salaputis trying to hang it around the outside of Lars van Rijn? Wow, Nick really throwing it out there as well. It's going to be a drag race between the two Lamborghinis.
Who gets it at the line?
Dead heat.
Almost. I think it was Salaputis who just got it. He did, just ahead of Lars van Rijn. It was 15 one-thousandths per second between the two of them, so you could get a little bit closer, I suppose. The last few drivers are coming across the line here, but I mean, Peter, let's touch on it now. Pure Sims, what a lineup of drivers they've got. I think my opinion is Michael Evdoka has really stepped up this season as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, you saw in that last part of the race as well, he reeled in Davidson and McFarlane. Very impressive. Definitely a shot there for the company Christmas card, that's for sure.
as we're looking at who is going to be getting the reverse grid. The first of 2 reverse grids tonight. Remember, it's 3 20-minute races here in the World GT Championship, and it's going to be 28th that will be the reverse grid pole. So we'll tell you that once we've gone through our first race results here. Remember, all results are preliminary, pending any post-event stewards' decisions. So it's Pure Sims Esports 1, 2, 3. Ross McFarlane from Alex Davidson and Michael Evdoka. What a first race for them. Josh Thompson up a few places into that 4th place ahead of Jacob Nakczewski. Then 6th place with Tom Dadswell, who managed to avoid the shenanigans that went on at the De La Roja on the last lap. Jack Sedgwick in 7th place in the end ahead of Andy Shield. Mark Fletcher, who was involved and caught up in that incident at the De La Roja for the final time, 9th ahead of James Armstrong in 10th. 11th, what an AM win it is for Martin de Jong. The Parabellum Racing Team Simability finishing just ahead of Jared Caroni and Adam State. Russell Barnes for Altitude Esports Blue. He gets a Pro-Am win ahead of Chris van der Ness and Richard Simner. With Jack Osborne then 2nd in AM, 17th overall. Alex Gall 18th with Jonathan Walker and Andy Archer rounding out the top 20. 21st for Ben Gregory ahead of Paul Webster. Patrick Faulkner is 3rd place AM, who finished in 23rd overall. Adam Watson 24th ahead of Eric Haag. Jesse Payne-Wilkins, Mark Hutchinson, and your pole sitter for race number 2, Adam Hedgecock for Altitude Esports Blue. He'll be starting on the front row of the grid. And Mark Hutchinson, who was actually spun around at Curva Alboreto, is going to be starting on the front row of race number 2. James Whitehouse and Yanis Olbert rounding out your top 30. Brian Son in 31st ahead of Brendan Stacey. With Nick Salapoutis we saw just coming across the line side by side with Lars van Rijn, 33rd, 34th. Sarah Raab ahead of Adam Coles with David Nichols, Ethan Critchley, Michael Blake and Jeroen Kaiser. And still the results go. Kevin Kittleman ahead of Ed May with Matthias Drozda, Michael Gray, Andy Gilmore, Mark Woodhouse, Phil Samways, Lee Berridge and Pete Harrod are all finished on the lead lap. Jack Belton 1 lap down. And then drivers who did not score: Alex Neller, Simon Neller, Craig Jones and Christian Maltrek. So that is the first race done and dusted here, but we've got 2 more races coming up for you here this evening in the World GT Championship. Of course, 3 sprint races. If you've never seen the series before, it's 3 20-minute sprint races with 2, the second and third races, grids decided by the reverse grid wheel. And I mean, Peter, okay, there was a couple of incidents further on in the race, but we got through lap 1 pretty much nice and clean.
More or less, yeah, absolutely. It's yeah, I mean, that first corner was really good because that really is the danger point as well. And you know, coming into the second chicane, just one tiny bit of contact just triggered off a bigger impact. But apart from that, no, very good from the drivers. I do wonder if tactically here at Monza, there's a lot of drivers just playing it careful and not going for moves that they might otherwise have done on other circuits. So yeah, I wonder how that'll play out when we go into the reverse grid races. Potentially a little bit different.
Of course, new drivers to the series have only had one chance and one opportunity of trying out a reverse grid race, which was last week in the 40-minute feature races. Of course, there's no pit stop in this race, so you've got to do it out on track. For those new drivers, what are the challenges that they've got in trying to work their way through in a sprint format where you've got less time to make moves?
Yeah, you do, and I do think the same the same theory applies. It's all about keeping damage off the car, keeping out of trouble as well, because if you do get involved even in a small incident, particularly here at somewhere like Monza, you just take a tiny bit of front damage, tiny bit of rear, you all of a sudden your straight line speed is shot and you're a sitting duck. So yeah, the same theory, the same practices should apply, and let's see how they get on in this second race.
Yeah, Martin de Jong, very happy in the YouTube chat, telling us only lap 6 driving damage to the front from the exit of the Escara chicane. So it's easy to pick up damage from curbs, let alone the other drivers that you're competing with. So to say damage to his car, still got 12th place finish in the end, that's a tremendous drive.
That's even more remarkable. Yes, absolutely. If I was him, I'd have kept that to myself, because his AM license, I can hear the scissors clipping in the steward's office going, yeah, De Jong, snip. No, I'm only kidding. But yeah, fantastic start to the day. But the key is in the World GT Championship is to back those results up, to kick on from that result. It's quite a big reverse grid, so he'll be starting just inside the top 20, and that's right in the centre of the pack. So you've got to try and keep it clean and pick up some more points.
And Jack Belton with a very painful tail, so he nearly cut his toe off at the beach earlier. Good grief. Unlucky in race 1, but let's go again. I mean, that's it. The beauty of these sprint races is that, yeah, if you have a bad first race, you've still got another 2 races to try and gather something back from those that first race.
Very true. That's exactly the way to look at it. And yeah, as long as you don't cut your toe off, I mean, it can't be that bad.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're just waiting, everybody. If you're wondering what's going on right now, the admins are manually setting up that grid, that reverse grid of 28 to get us set for the second race. And of course, any back of grid penalties, they will have to shuffle people to the back of the grid. So that's why we've just got this bit of time between races here, Peter. But yeah, Peter, looking back at that first race, the thing that got me intrigued, Alex Davidson not making any moves. I'm not saying that there's team orders there, but he was very reluctant in trying to even make a sniff at Ross McFarlane's lead there.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps he thought it wouldn't be, couldn't put a move in without taking unnecessary risk, and maybe just playing the long championship game. I mean, the points difference between first and second isn't enormous, and maybe just thinking, you know what, that's fine. I'm just going to play this strategy, and it's not go for the win all the time. It's make sure you're always there on the podium, picking up the points, which, funnily enough, is exactly the way that Ross McFarlane goes about his business. And that's worked for him time and time and time again.
Whereas this season, Ross McFarlane is just getting win after win after win, isn't he? Of course, he won the endurance race at Barcelona. He won the first race last week at Imola. He's now won the first race here at Monza. He's just getting the wins in this season. He's really turned up the wick, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, he's really gelling with this new edition of the Mercedes AMG GT3. He's run the Lamborghini Huracan for a long time before that, but as he mentioned in his post-race interview, I think it was after Barcelona actually, that the Pure Sims team had experience of the old version of the Mercedes, and that hasn't all gone to waste. That's been helpful in getting set up for the new Mercedes, and yeah, he's just gelling with it so well, and backed up by fast teammates. For Satellite Racing, they've got to be pretty disappointed with how things have gone so far this race. They're in a really tough battle with Pure Sims. They're going to have to bring their A game every week, and Jakub Maciuski finishing there in 5th position. You got to think he'd have wanted more than that.
I mean, we're saying what a disaster it was for him. He's only finished 6.5 seconds behind the race leader and the winner in that one. So it's not like he's somebody that has gone hard. He's picking up the points. The problem is that the championship contender he's fighting against are getting more points.
Yeah, that's it. And I think had he had colleagues around him that they could have worked together to get to the front of the pack, that race might have played out quite a bit differently. So yeah, for Satellite Racing, this hasn't been the best start to the night in terms of position, and at that level it's so tight that they really would have wanted more, I believe. However, and it's the biggest however of the day, 2 reverse grid races coming up. It can change so quickly, especially in the middle of the pack. We saw what happened in the middle of the pack there, and that's exactly where our front runners from race 1 are going to start.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 54 car grid, So I mean, back of envelope maths going on right here. So it's over half of the grid, isn't it? That they've been reversed by. So that's going to be a real challenge because, as we said, the Rettifilio at the start of the lap is a bottleneck. The Della Roja, that's another bottleneck. If you could make it through those, you then got the Lesmos to try and negotiate, which you can go side by side with, but you've got to have a bit of cooperation. Before you know it, you're down to Ascari, and that pretty much is a one-line section of track.
It is, yes, and that's you'd almost rather start at the back, I think, than right in the middle, and just sort of. I mean, who could forget last week Josh Thompson at Imola starting right at the back in the second feature race, and he was almost parked, first down basically to first gear, watching the unmitigated chaos unfold in front of him, and then he just picked his way through, and you know. I think he said he passed 25 people without actually making a kind of genuine overtake, which is remarkable. So, you know, let's see how both the Pearson's top three drivers and Jakub Machuski play this one from the epicenter of the potential storm.
The race server is going up, by the way, everybody, so thank you for sticking around. We do appreciate you joining us here on RaceSpotTV. I am Paul Smith. Alongside me, as always, here in the World GT Championship is Peter Mackay. We've got Hugo Luis, our director behind the scenes, giving you all the pictures that you see on screen. And well, the World GT Championship, it just keeps on getting bigger and better as a championship. I mean, when they opened up the remaining positions on the grid to the public, they were just absolutely swamped by people attempting to get into this championship. It shows that, okay, we get a few instances here and there, but you're going to get that with a huge grid with the way this is. It shows the popularity and the competitiveness of this series as well.
It does, and in every class as well. 3 classes, the Am, Pro-Am and Pro, and it's just as hotly contested in each and every class. And of course, those classes have to coexist on the same racetrack as well. And when we get into the context of the reverse grid, then that's where it gets really interesting as well, and really exciting. It gives drivers in the Pro-Am and Am classes chances to really shine as well. It's not unusual to see Pro-Ams on the podium and Ams getting up there as well occasionally. I mean, for this race, we're going to see an Am in Lord Hedge. Adam Hedgecock, I think, is on pole for race 1, which is great to see. A long-standing member of the championship and series photographer for the World Touring Car Series as well, I believe.
Yeah, he produced a wonderful photo from round 1 of the touring cars of a certain team, Mad Veloster, just out on its
upside
own
down,
while the rest of them fought behind. But that didn't last long, I can tell you. The
car upside down is a team Mad Veloster.
But yeah, so everybody's getting themselves into the race server here, so that's why we've just been filling a little bit of time, I think it's safe to say. Now, if you're starting near the back of the grid, some people like Pete Harrod and Lee Berridge, Jack Belton, and people like that were involved in incidents, you know for a fact that into lap 1, into turn 1, the back of the grid pretty much comes to a standstill. I know that from experience of racing in this series 7 seasons ago. So it is a known fact. You've just got to be patient. You can't come storming in.
No, and if you do, it's going to be Skittles. I think if you're starting on the last couple of rows, you almost want to just give a really good bit of room. Give yourself plenty of space, because there is no way through, and the likelihood of there just being a tiny bit of contact, doesn't have to be anything malicious, and then all of a sudden you've got a complete pile up as well. And there can be tiny little inconsistencies in how the damage is apportioned as well in contact. Sometimes it can be the lightest of touches and all of a sudden you've got a suspension breakage, or it can be a relatively big hit and you carry on. That's the same in the real world as well. It is a bit of a lottery sometimes, so you want to take that out the game. You're not going to go and win the race from the back row of the grid. It's impossible. But you can really let the chaos happen in front of you, I think, is if you're starting right far back, that's got to be the strategy.
Well, that's it. I mean, you pointed out with Josh last time out, he backed the way up. He was at the very back of the grid and said, you know what, boys? You all have your accident. I'll just pick my way through. And that's exactly what he did. So it is a legitimate strategy. And you do see it in the real world of racing as well. You know, if you've got a big grid, chances are if you're starting at the back, it's give yourself a bit of room. You're going to pick up a good handful of positions from the start. So yeah, crucial thing for these drivers. Now, first race, the track temperature got up to 40 degrees. The tyres aren't really affected in these sprint races because these are tyres that are designed to last 2-3 hours in some cases. So it's that initial bite though, how much life you take out of that initial sort of golden grip that you've got. If you push it too hard, they don't give you that grip for as long as if you may be a little bit careful and just gradually bring those tyres in. But you've got to take advantage of what you've got at the start to try and get positions, because it's the best time to make positions.
Yeah, it is, and I think with that higher track temperature as well, yes, the tyre wear is not an issue, but the grip that you get is, and excessively high track temperature does make the track more greasy, a little bit more slippy, so the drivers are going to have to be careful of that if that track temperature continues to remain high when we go into this second race here as well. So yeah, we'll see how that one plays.
I was wondering if our lovely producer could actually bring up the conditions, because I've just got in and I've seen what the track temperature is for the second race. It's a little bit hotter, is the track conditions here. There you go. So 47 degrees Celsius, so it's extra 7 degrees Celsius for these drivers to contend with. We're at 2:50 in the afternoon here in Sim, so it's right towards the end of the hottest part of the day, so we should see the third race of the evening just cool off that little bit for those drivers. But still, you're absolutely right, Peter, they're going to have to back up their braking zones by about 5 meters, 10 meters or so.
Yeah, that excessive track temperature is going to make a huge difference. So it's no surprise actually that there's what somebody having a little bit of an off-track spin there, and yeah, it's no surprise that this warm-up session is quite busy, because the track surface is going to be quite different to what the drivers experienced in race one.
Of course, different track grip as well, because they've not had the amount of wear of rubber on the track surface for the second race as they did for the first race, so that's what they'll be getting used to as well. But drivers get themselves prepared. So yeah, it's interesting, because you'll see some drivers, they'll jump in as soon as they can and get out on track to get a feel of how the track is, whereas some drivers, certain Yorkshiremen included in this, just take a break. Don't use excess energy, and just save themselves for the start of the race.
Put your feet up and have a brew. That's always that's the answer to a lot of problems, that's for sure. Interesting, Paul, changing tack slightly. I mean, we saw in the opening race of the season in the endurance format, the Porsche 911 GT3R using its fairly unique attributes to best effect in the hands of Alex Gall. Very, very good fuel efficiency and very, very good tyre consumption. Two things that are almost completely irrelevant in a sprint format, it appears. Those Porsches are struggling, and they're struggling hard as well.
Got about a minute of warm-up left, so everybody just trying to get that feel, as we say. And Alex Davidson, I think for him, I think he needs to get a win in this championship. I do feel that he's somebody who has shown the pace. He's really picked it up this season. And I do think he deserves a win, but 27th on the grid, that's going to be exceedingly difficult. Not impossible. We have seen people do the triple before in this championship, but it takes a lot happening to be able to pull that one off. So we'll have to see how Alex gets on. But it's that front row, Hedgecock and Hutchinson. This is a tremendous opportunity for those two drivers, especially Hutchinson, after what happened in race one at the Curva Alboreto.
And of course, what did we see last time out? Reverse direction, Mark Hutchison. Reverse direction. I've been talking about that all weekend at Not Kill. Excuse me, viewers. Oh dear me. Yes, in reverse grid, we saw Mark Hutchison win the race overall last time out. So you know, this is he will be right up for this right now. Starting from the front row, he'll want to get in front early and try and pull away.
Well then, let's have a look then at your reverse grid, and we're going to have to fire through this one because we've only got a minute to go through this one. So I can tell you, it's Adam Hedgecock and Mark Hutchison front row, with Jesse Payne Wilkins and Eric Haag row 2, Adam Watson and Patrick Faulkner row number 3. Row 4 for Paul Webster and Ben Gregory, with Andy Archer and Jonathan Walker sharing row 5. Row 6 for Alex Gall and Jack Osborne. Row 7 then for Richard Simner with Chris van der Ness. Russell Barnes and Adam State then on row number 8 with Jared Crowley and Martin de Jong on row number 9. Row 10 for James Armstrong and Matt Fletcher. Row 11 for Andy Shield and Jack Sedgwick with Tom Dadswell and Jakub Maczewski on row number 12. Row 13 for Josh Thompson and Michael Evdoka with Alex Davidson and Ross McFarlane sharing row number 14. Row 15 for James Whitehouse and Yanis Albert. And then the rest of the grids, it's Son, Stacey with Salaputis, Van Rijn, Raab and Coles in 36. Nichols, Critchley, Blake, Kaiser, the two team mad cars together, Kittleman and May. And Drozda, Gray with Gilmore, Woodhouse, Samways and Berridge. With Harrod, Belton, Nella, Jones and Malcharek. And then right at the back of the grid, Jensen, Adriansen. The drivers are underway here, Peter. I am going to throw you under the bus here. Is it 2 reverse grid wins for Mark Hutchinson?
Well, he's in the perfect position to do it. Let's see if he can. I mean, for the front row of the grid, he'll be... I think we might see him braking as late as he dares here to try and get that move done on Adam Hedgecock, and he'll be hoping the grunt of that Mercedes can get him in a position to do that, because I think if he's got clear air, we know that he's really, really quick.
The drivers getting themselves behind the Chevy Silverado. You can tell it's an Alex Nella session because 1, it was delayed, and 2, it's got a Silverado at the front of it. But as we head on through the Curva Alboreto, it's all about that. When do you, on pole position as Adam Hedgecock, make the breakaway? When do you decide that now is the time to apply that throttle pedal? Remember, the green flag doesn't actually get waved until the start line, but he's underway, and Hutchison's been caught a little bit napping with that one, and it's going to be a parabellum charge between the two BMWs. They're going to try and make moves on Hutchinson here. Hedgecock should be clear into turn number 1 in his Ferrari. Onto the brakes for the first time in this race, and around the outside there, he's got the inside for the next corner. That's Jesse Payne Wilkins, not able to make the move, and here comes Adam Watson as well. He wants a piece of the action. Oh, we've got drama. It's Lee Berridge once again on lap 1. Lee Berridge and lap 1 just do not want to match today.
Oh dear, poor old Lee Berridge. That's yeah, it's just not been his night so far. Oh, Adam Watson making a big look around the outside. Oh, that's the Adam Watson of old. Big move there from the Audi driver. Oh, more calamity here at the second chicane, hopping over the sausage curbs. They should be consigned to room 101, I believe. But anyway, oh dear me, they all get through apart from turn 1. Not too bad actually. Oh, I'm just going to shut up.
That's the parabellum car of Jesse Payne Wilkins, who was battling away for 3rd and 2nd place. He's dropping down the order fast here, as everybody, and I mean everybody, is going to work their way past them. And fair play. I mean, this must be so disheartening to just sat there waiting for a gap in the field, and then almost into the side of Mercedes, but carries on.
Yeah, gets through. Yeah, good sportsmanship to wait there until there was a gap in proceedings to get through. There's one of our sole McLarens there. I think that's Ben Gregory making a move up the inside of the 88 of Johnny Walker. Good start from the 3M Mercedes driver. But Ben Gregory was saying that the McLaren is pretty slow in the straight line. Good chassis, but struggling with straight line speed, it seems. But when you're in the pack, stick in the draft. Oh, here comes Hutchison then on Hedgecock. Hedgecock gives him the racing room then as they go side by side then out of the chicane, and Hedgecock says, no, I'm a Ferrari driver.
And Hedgecock's teammate, Adam Watson, is sniffing in this one as well. He wants a piece of the action here as they're heading through a Curva Grande once again. Watson behind Hutchison. Hutchison to the inside of the De La Roggia. Get the run out the corner. You can make the move, and Adam Watson is trying to get the move on both of them. Down the inside into the Lesmos. 3 into 1 doesn't go usually here, and it's done it. Adam Watson to the lead of this race with a brilliant move on corner exit to the De La Roggia. And out he goes. Now the question is, can he run away at the front and drag his teammate of Hedgecock along with him?
Right, hold on a second. I'm going to go and turn the force feedback off on my wheel so I don't forget. That's amazing. Amazing stuff from Adam Watson with a fractured bone in his elbow, and he is at the front of this World GT Championship race. We saw him make some fantastic drives last season in the Porsche for Team Mad, new team this year, and now in the Audi R8 V10, and he hits the front. And will Hedgecock go with him? He's going to try, but here comes Hutchison then on the inside of Hedgecock. He doesn't want to see Watson get away, and indeed Hutchison does get the move done, but can he get into the draft of Watson in time before they get onto the straight?
Now these 5 drivers, because they've got Webster and Haag behind them, have got to be careful not to trip over each other, because Gregory, Faulkner, Gall and Archer and State are all behind. There's a bit of a gap here, but if they keep on just tripping over each other, they're going to slow each other up, and that's going to allow this gaggle of cars that was heading down to turn number 1. Ben Gregory looked like he had about 3 different people trying to get past him there. Alex Gall and Gregory, I do believe, are side by side through all of this. So we've got battling just outside that top 6. There we go. Gall and Gregory, and possibly the 2 slowest cars on the grid for straight line speed, and they're going side by side into the De La Roggia. And Gregory gives the space. He realises that Gall has got it on him, and the problem is, if you give too much space, that leaves you open to attack. And Adam State in his Mercedes trying to go around the outside of Lesmo 1.
So Gregory holds the inside line, leaves the cars with. Very respectful there from the McLaren driver. McLaren versus Mercedes here at Monza. Fantastic.
I can tell you, by the way, that Jakub Majewski is out of this race. He is on pit road and he is out of this one. So too is his teammate David Nichols as well. So a nightmare for the Maradnas Satellite Esports team. Losing 2 drivers from this race. Adam Watson having to go defensive down the back straight at the front of the field, so little gaps forming. The front 2 trying to just break away from Hedgecock, Webster and Haag, and then Faulkner and Gall are trying to bridge that gap.
Josh Thompson making great moves there from just inside the top 25 on the grid. He's already up to 12th. He's set the fastest lap of the race. He's just made a great move there on Chris Van Den Ness at Alboreto. As we've got a move for the race lead then. Mark Hutchison in the Pro-Am class making a move on Adam Watson in the Pro class. But Watson just late enough on the brakes. We know how good Watson is on the brakes. I tell you what, Paul, Watson really getting out of the first chicane very well in that Audi.
Certainly is, and look who's joining them now. Paul Webster, of course, the man who competed for the Pro-Am Championship last time out. Matt Fletcher. Oh, it's not the drifting championship, everyone. Does everybody avoid him? No, they don't. There is a little bit of contact there with one of the Maradna Satellite Racing cars. It was, so that's what's put Majewski out the race.
Well, this has just been the night for Pure Sims Racing, hasn't it? Because all 3 of their drivers missed that incident by a whisker. Their biggest rival, Jakub Majewski, he only just clipped that car there, just clipped it. And that kind of tells the whole story of the night so far for these teams.
You know what they say, when it's your night, it's your night. And that is what's happening right here for Pure Sims Esports. They are moving up as a unit because Michael Evdoka is 15th, Ross McFarlane 16th, Alex Davidson 17th. So they're all together. Brian Son, solo spin. Oh, and he's joined by one of his teammates, actually. I think that was Jack Belton.
Oh, dear.
That Penguin RC Simulation team not having a good day. And oh dear, what's happened here, Mark? Oh, is this going to be one for the real? No, it isn't. We're going back to live pictures.
Okay. Right, reset then. 12 minutes to go. Adam Watson leads for Mark Hutchison, Paul Webster in there as well. Big props to Adam Hedgecock as well. A heroic drive so far for the Scuderia Altitude.
Yes, absolutely. In the 458 Evo, and the thing is,
it's a 488.
488. Sorry, I'm getting the wrong model of car. But they've got to be worried now because Alex Gall is not too far behind. There's Paddy Volkner there with them, Adam State, and Josh Thompson now, 9th place. 12 minutes remaining in this one. Don't write him out of a race win here.
No, definitely not. Right off at your peril. But I tell you, Hutchison is driving well here, really wanting to make the most of that grid position. So what's happened to our M-Class hero from race 1, Martin de Jong? Oh, gets a little clip there from, is that Albert in the Brabham car?
It was one of the Brabham cars. I just don't know which one. Whether it was Albert or whether it was Armstrong. Difficult to see from that one shot that we got, but what's not difficult to see is Adam State moving forward to 7th place ahead of Faulkner. Oh, compromised his line though, and you compromise the first part of the Ascara chicane, it gets you all the way through, and then you're slow down this back straight heading towards Curva Alboreto.
Seems that Adam State's been able to stem the bleeding though coming out. He had to make a move for it, but watch out for, oh no! Oh, Martin de Jong, oh, the front of that BMW is destroyed. The engine is blown. He'll have to take a tow back to pit lane. Oh, dear.
Oh, dear is right. I don't know what's happened there, but it was on the first part of the Ascara chicane. Mark Hutchinson looking for a different line this time down the inside, and Watson can't hold him off. It's that launch out of the chicane. Really good launch from the Audi and Paul Webster, the man who works in the carbon composites for the Mercedes Formula One team. He's wanting a win here. His best result, I believe, is 2nd place twice at the Hungaroring as Hutchinson and Watson go side by side. Go to the inside here, Paul. You've got an opportunity. No, he's going to go to the middle, perhaps. No, he's not. He's staying behind. Hutchinson, though, is alongside. Can he get the move done through Lesmer? Well, look at all the queue of cars that's coming up behind them as well. Hedgecock isn't out of this. Neither is Haag. And Alex Gall says, oh, I sniffed some good points here.
He does, and this would be a super performance from Alex Gall. He does not have the car performance to really get the results tonight, but he's fighting hard in that Porsche. And dear me, I thought we were going to have to rely on Paul Webster's professional expertise there with some replacement carbon fibre parts, because that was so tight, so close. Here comes Gall in the rear view camera of Hedgecock's Ferrari, but Hedgecock in the AM class, he's good gap back to his AM class rivals, Paddy Faulkner in 9th, and a long gap back to the rest, so it's still a great opportunity. And Hedgecock's not had the easiest start to the championship, so this could give him some really strong points to get his campaign back on track.
I think he realises that as well. I think he realises this is a great opportunity to get himself some big points. I mean, he's 3 places ahead of the next best AM as still Hutchinson and Watson. They're still going at it, these two. Absolutely tremendous racing at the front. The problem for those two is that they've now got, what's that, an 8 or 9 car train behind them, and Josh Thompson is there, so it's a 9 car train in total. Thompson is getting closer and closer to this race. I can tell you there's 2.5 seconds covering 1st to 8th place.
And if you invite Josh Thompson to the party, well, expect him to play a factor in proceedings, that's for sure. That's been a superb drive through the field from the Manxman. he told us in his post-race interview last week that he's kind of fighting with one hand behind his back on the car, just can't quite seem to run the pace of the Mercedes, but he said, you know, we're going to battle on regardless, and that's exactly what he's doing. And yeah, right now up there in 8th. But the Pure Sims guys just relentlessly, they are marching through, led by Evdoka and Davidson. They've actually reversed in order. They are in the order that they started, Evdoka from Davidson from McFarlane, so they really are working through as a unit, the Pure Sims Mercedes. Davidson
has actually got ahead of McFarlane again, because McFarlane was ahead of him for a little while. Here's what happened to De Jong. Oh, well, that's not the best. And then one of the Maradness satellite racing cars ends up over the top. We go back to live picture, so that's what happened down at the Scarra chicane. And Watson very, very wide. The back of that car did not look like it wanted to cooperate with him. 7 minutes remain in this race. I do not want to call who is going to be the winner of this, because to be honest, Michael Evdoka, Davidson or McFarlane could still win this one at this rate.
Yeah, I think Josh Thompson's in quite a good position actually as well. And I tell you what, this has been one of the best races of the season so far. Hutchison and Watson absolutely playing for keeps. Webster, well, he's just watching all of this with the popcorn in hand going, you guys are really playing hardball here, but they have not touched once. Really impressive stuff considering how close they've been. But we're right on board with Josh Thompson, third in the AM class, of course, at the moment in 6th. But he's right there. That's your race leader, Mark Hutchison, just ahead, and Thompson will be smelling blood at the wheel of that Team Redline BMW.
AM class? Pro class?
Pro class, did I say that? Sorry.
It's been a long day already.
Yes, that really would be snip the licence up, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Sorry, Josh, you got involved in a couple of accidents at the start of the season, so you're down to AM. Yep. Good luck. As we go on now, Josh, he's obviously listening to us, by the way, because there's a big smirk on his face then.
He's probably thinking, idiot. Yeah.
Absolute idiots, yeah. Who employed those two in the commentary box? But look at this, Thompson though, great run, and Gaal's not fighting that. He's just moved straight over. He's realised that he hasn't got the top speed of Thompson. No point fighting it. Let's just work together and move forward to Thompson into 5th place now.
Yeah, that was pretty mirror signal manoeuvre stuff there. Thompson able to just blow straight past Alex Gaal. So Gaal, all he can do really is just try and hang on the rear bumper of Thompson as best as he can. And I would think that Porsche will be right into the rev limiter in 6th by the end of this straight. But Pure Sims, they continue to march forward, led by by Davidson. It's all getting a bit tense at the chicane here. Thompson, he's shaking the head. He's not happy. He's not happy with the defending at all from Eric Haag. And, he just needs to keep calm, does Josh. We know what can happen sometimes is he can sometimes let it get to him, but he's worked really hard on that, I will say. In the last few years, he's really improved that area of his racing. So he'll do some sort of count to 10, then count to 10 again, because 10 won't be enough, as he's making a move on Haag into Lesmo. He's made a very, very stern move of, I am coming through here, you're not. Yeah, good stuff there. He knew he had to make the move and got it done. Did Josh Thompson. Fantastic stuff. Tell you what, Alex Davison, he is driving really, really well. He's made fantastic moves through the field. Started in 27th place. He's up into 8th. He's got the fastest lap of the race as well. 4 minutes to go. A podium is not out of the question here for Davison. He is bringing Evdoka with him. A little bit of a quieter race for McFarlane. He's back in 12th and just a little bit behind his Pure Sims colleagues at this stage.
Everton's really made a move, hasn't he? He's really got the bit between his teeth, and still Hutchinson at the front of the field. Now, is Watson playing that long game and deciding not to make some moves, as there goes Evdoka looking to the inside of State. There's McFarlane looking to get the run out of the Curva Alboreto. Let's get that done. A big wiggle there from Faulkner. That's not what you want in the middle of Curva Alboreto, is it?
No, he did well to hang on to that one. Here comes Thompson again, going to make another move, this time on Webster. Very late on the brakes there. Good stuff there from the Team Redline driver. Up into third. Now, 3 minutes to go. Can he reel in Hutchison and Watson? And if you're Hutchison and Watson, you've got to have a good, solid look in the mirror here, the rear view mirror that is, and think, right, we've got to play this one smart. If we put any moves at all on each other, Thompson's going to be on our case in no time. We've got to try and play it smart here, these front two. If they don't, Thompson will be all over them.
The 5-lap average, by the way, for Thompson. Oh, there's contact between Lars Van Rijn and Matt Woodhouse. Matt Woodhouse, it's not his season at all. I think every round we've seen him have an instant. And Josh Thompson, what's happened to Josh Thompson? Has he lost connection?
Internet. Yeah.
Oh,
internet.
My goodness.
He's back.
He is. He's around. Yeah, there he is. He's back. Oh, hopefully he stays with us, because it would be tremendous to see him fight on forward. And obviously, Trawlerman has obviously tried to get the cable that connects up the Isle of Man with the UK mainland there. But yeah, he's got 2 minutes. 2 minutes to do it if his connection stays stable. Hopefully it does, as Watson now looking to make a move into Curva Alboreto. So we've got Race for the lead. We've got Race here for Alex Davidson as well. We're going to cross the line. 1:49 has been the average lap time, so we should be on to the final lap here, Peter. It's Watson and Hutchison at the front.
I mean, all we're thinking for fans of Team Redline, we're thinking, come on, Manx Telecom here for Josh Thompson, as Watson sells a dummy around the outside. What a manoeuvre. That is move of the day from Adam Watson, a proper full-send Watson move. And Hutchison he's probably thinking, fair play, that was some move. Picked the pocket on the braking zone on the way into the chicane. And, well, Josh Thompson is still just a couple of car lengths back. Can he get on case? Here comes Hutchison, going to try and go around the outside. Never really works there into the second chicane. Watson hangs on again.
It's all about corner exit at this track, and look at that, Thompson's with them now. He is a part of this race for the lead. If we know Josh, he will arrive, he will make a move, and he will move forward if he can. But with only a handful of corners remaining in this race, Watson's got a little bit of a gap now over Hutchison. Hutchison, I think, is concentrating on Thompson rather than trying to keep with Adam Watson right now. Watson, he's just got to get through, what's that, 4 more corners of this race, and he's got a potential victory, but don't write out Mark Hutchison or Josh Thompson as they come out of the Scarra chicane for the final time in this particular race. Down the back straight, Watson is going all the way over to the inside. He then switches across. He realises that Hutchison can't make the move. Thompson's making a move. Hutchison's into the back of Watson. Watson hangs on to this one. Thompson's making a run for this one now. But Adam Watson in the Altitude Esports Audi Quattro, Audi R8, he takes the win here for Altitude Esports. Incredible drive for a man who's got, don't forget, a broken bone in his elbow. Sensational stuff.
I am flabbergasted. Fantastic stuff here in the World GTT Championship. Adam Watson, what a drive. Broken bone in the elbow, no force feedback on the wheel, and we ride on board with him now, and he is absolutely cheesing, and rightly so. What a performance. Fortune favours the brave.
Certainly does. In all the excitement there, Mark Hutchinson does finish third, but he's the top pro-am in this race. He top-am. Lord Hedge started on pole position, finishes in 9th place in this race. So a really good result for Adam Hedgecock in this one as well. He's got himself some big points over the rest of the AMs, because I look further down, the next AM is in 18th place. So, wow, what an exciting end to that race. Simply sensational. And we've got another race winner. Here's what's happened on the last lap, by the way, and that's Michael Evdoka into the wall, and that is one of the Parabolum cars. I didn't catch which one, but Michael Evdoka ended up in the wall at the Ascara chicane.
That's a pity for Michael Evdoka, and what has been a pretty perfect day for Pure Sims so far. That just puts a little blot in the copybook for them, but What a finish. What a finish.
Well, we'll get a spin of the reverse grid wheel and seeing what the outcome of this reverse grid wheel is. And well, I mean, that race was simply sensational. I think one of the best races of the season so far. As good as that opening endurance race was, I think this one, for the sheer the fight all the way through at the front, was simply sensational. But it looks like we're going to get a big reverse grid of 35, so that is the biggest other than the full reverse for us to get. So we'll see which driver is going to be on pole position. But what I can tell you is Adam Watson for Altitude Esports, it's his first race win for Altitude Esports. He takes that overall win by 1/10 of a second over Josh Thompson for Team Redline. The Evo SR driver of Mark Hutchinson, oh, it was so close, he could have won that one. 2/10 of a second covering the top three. Sensational, but that's a Pro-Am win for Mark Hutchinson. Alex Gall, third place in Pro and fourth place overall, ahead of the two Prio Sims esports drivers, Alex Davidson and Ross McFarlane. Tremendous drive through the field, both gaining 22 positions in that race. Adam State ahead of Jack Sedgwick, and then it's Adam Hedgecock, your top am for Altitude Esports Blue. What a day for Altitude Esports in 9th place, ahead of James Armstrong in 10th. 11th then for Chris Van Den Ness. He's actually your second placed Pro-Am, so some big points scored by Hutchinson in this one and for Evo SR. Ben Gregory in 12th ahead of Jared Caroni, with Paul Webster down to 14th by the end of that race, so something happened to Paul. Tom Dadswell ahead of Andy Archer, with Patrick Faulkner then second place Am in that race in 17th. Richard Simner 18th, a teammate behind him, and then it's two Century Sim Racing cars, Jack Osborne and James Whitehouse. 21st for Russell Barnes ahead of Andy Shield, with Adam Coles and Ed May sharing the next two positions, 23rd and 24th. Alex Nella 25th, recovery drive after race number 1, with Phil Samways, Ethan Critchley, Brendan Stacey, Christian Maltrek and Craig Jones. Andy Gilmore then in 31st ahead of Jesse Payne-Wilkins. Simon Nell at 33rd. 34th, going to be sharing the front row, is Pete Harrod, because Michael Blake for Team Mad is on pole position. Those two used to be teammates. Of course, facing against each other, but they'll be starting the grid from pole position with Michael Blake. Those missing out on the reverse grid: Michael Gray, Kevin Kittleman, Jonathan Walker, Jack Belton, Jeroen Kaiser, with Jensen Adriansons, Brian Sohn, Michael Evdoki, Yanis Olbert, Lars Van Rijn, Mark Fletcher, Sarah Raab, with Matt Woodhouse, Matthias Drozda and Martin de Jong. Then Eric Haag is the last driver to score points in 51st. Drivers who did not finish: Nick Salaputis, Lee Berridge, Jakub Machuski and David Nichols. Well, Peter, that was an exciting race for us there. What a race at the front of the field, to start off with Hutchinson and Hedgecock, and then Watson got involved in it. Watson did that brilliant dive under on both of them out of the Rettifilio in towards Lesmo, and then it just kept on just going from there.
I mean, I think that was the move that really sealed it there for Watson, and what a move it was to pull that off. I mean, you've got to give big props to Mark Hutchinson. Bear in mind, he's in the Pro-Am class and he's fighting for an overall win with a Pro class driver, and he looked every bit as comfortable. And you know, that in the context of Mark Hutchinson's day in Pro-Am, you know, first race was a bit of a disaster, but his night's right back on track now. In the Pro-Am class, if you could score second overall points, it turbocharges your night.
Absolutely, simply sensational stuff. We are actually going to be joined here by our race winner. Peter, take it away with Adam Watson.
Adam, congratulations on an absolutely fantastic win there as well. Tell us how you're feeling right now.
Over the moon. I'm still confused on how I did it, because the Audi literally has no straight line speed. Hutchinson was by me like halfway down the straight, but to get the win, it's meant.
I bet it is. I mean, tell us about the physical limitations that you're dealing with at the moment and how you're getting around that, because I think you found the answer. Turn the force feedback off and you're winning races. But tell us about it. What you're contending with at the moment?
So I have fractured my radius elbow in my bone, so I don't have much movement in my elbow either towards me or away from me. And then, so I've turned my force speed down. It's not all the way off because I still need to feel something, but it's just on the low side.
And may I ask, how did you do this?
Being an idiot. No, just I do a cycling sport and I just had a crash in that and landed on my elbow wrong.
That's a good story though. That's a heroic story, Adam. And do you know what? That was a heroic drive. I mean, final question. That move near the end of the race, going into the chicane. Tell us about that one.
I could see that I'm running more downforce, obviously because the Audi, than Hutch, and I saw that he was braking a lot earlier. So, and I've been out braking him into turn one. So I thought if I try around the outside, he can't then cover me. If I try to go on the inside by holding it, so just hoped and prayed that I wouldn't run on.
Well, it worked out. A great drive, Adam. Well done, and good luck for race 3.
Cheers, Peter.
And Peter, we've also been joined in the commentary booth by another driver in this one, as we are getting the race 3 launched here. But Ethan Critchley joins us as well. Peter, why don't you take it away with Ethan?
Ethan, welcome to the RaceSpotTV commentary box. Great to have you here. Tell us about your night so far.
Oh, it's been an absolute disaster so far. Just getting caught up in silly crashes with people. We've had the pace, but like in that second race, my car was 20k down on a straight line, so it was impossible to overtake or defend from anyone. But yeah, it's been a pretty disaster so far, but hopefully I've got a good position for race 3 so I can try and make something work.
Yeah, plan for race 3. Where are you starting and where would you like to get to?
I think I'm starting maybe P8 or P9. I'm not too sure, but I think the win's always the target when you're in the top 10. I've only got 20 minutes to do it, so it'll be tough, but we'll see what we can do.
Well, we wish you all the best of luck for that, Ethan, and yeah, watch out of that first corner.
Right, thank you very much.
There we go. That's nice, isn't it? We're actually getting people joining us, giving us their thoughts during the evening, which is always good to hear there, Peter, to get that feedback and see how things are going for drivers. Obviously, good to hear from a race winner, but it's also good to hear from people who may be also not having the best of days out there as well.
We love to hear from any of the drivers at any point in the night, to be honest. Yeah, do come along and come in and chat, because it's fantastic to, as you rightly say, Paul, get that insight and see what the story is from behind the wheel. And yeah, it's better than us sitting here havering nonsense, as we say here in Scotland.
Well, we did say we need to get Shay Adam along for one of the endurance races, didn't we? So, but still, we've got race 3 coming up now. A big reverse grid, 35 positions. That means that what was it? Alex Davidson and Ross McFarlane finished 5th and 6th, so they're going to be starting pretty much from a similar position as they did race 2 here, and they were able to make it to 5th and 6th in that race.
They did, yes, absolutely, and let's see if they can repeat that as well. I mean, we saw how close and how many big moments there could be. I mean, I'm sure there was plenty off camera, but that incident where I can't remember who it was, a BMW is thrown across the track, and all 3 Pearson's cars, 1, 2, 3, Fletcher, thank you,
yeah,
just missed it, and Jakub Machuski, he went the other way and just clipped, just fine margins that make a really, really big difference for Jakub Machuski. Now, did he catch the reverse grid? I'm not sure if he did.
No, he retired.
So he's got to start from
the very back.
He's got to start from Bologna. So yeah, that's a tough night, but you never know what can happen in these reverse grid races.
I mean, it's. We said that it was going to be a case of how did new drivers cope with the reverse grid with it being short races. I think quite a few of the new drivers actually into the series have acclimatized themselves very well to the series, to be honest. I think that there's quite a few of the drivers are doing a good job out there, so it's not critical of every new driver out there. There's some of the some also of the drivers who have been in the series a long time who should know better as well. So it's actually not panning out too bad this week.
Oh, it's fantastic. It really is. I mean, it's so easy for anyone, commentators, fans, journalists, which take your pick, other drivers, to sit there and everybody's a pro in the spectator seat. But if you're behind the wheel taking part in the action, it's so much harder than you can even imagine, even than you could remember. And it's I always say, anybody with a competitor, whether it be outdoor motor racing or here in the sim, anyone with a competitor's wristband on, they're or virtual one, if that is the case may be, they're a hero in my eyes.
Yeah, and I was going to answer that question, but Hugo's beating me to it. But we'll answer it anyway. Yeah. How can you come back into the position you held when you've lost connection for 3 or 4 seconds? Well, it's basically a case of if your internet connection has a little bit of a blip, and the simulator, the servers, in this case in Germany? Yes, it's in Germany. In this case with this series, they'll keep on sending information out anyway to your sim. And if your sim at home then gets that connection back again, it'll gather that information up and get you back to where you were. You carry on driving, even though the rest of the cars seem to disappear for you, and then you carry on. You don't get things like the slipstream and things like that, the information of that, so it does make you a little bit slower, but it will pick you back up and then you're able to carry on. But there is a limitation to that. It will only keep trying for so long, and then it will just say, right, you've dropped out of the session, you'll have to get back into the race server. So that's what the sort of technicality is behind that. That's why you see someone like Jack Sedgwick, he's notorious for it, even in World Championship Series, just the odd blink here and there. That's the sim just quickly losing connection from him, but then he's coming back to them. So it can be a little bit disconcerting for people out there to be sat behind. I know from experience of racing in touring car series when you're in a big pack, but you just have to live with it, unfortunately. It's the nature of internet racing, isn't it?
It boggles the mind what is possible. I mean, let's think about what we are doing rather than what might not happen. You know, you've got 55 people in all different parts of the UK, around the world, all racing simultaneously at home. That technology is mind-blowing to me. The fact that can all happen in an instant, fractions of a second, it is just mind-boggling. I'll never get my head around it, how it's possible. Some very, very clever people able to do that. It's funny though that the way that the blinking happens, often the driver is completely unaware that that's happening as well. It's a little bit like snoring. You've no idea that you're doing it, but everyone around you finds it very annoying.
Oh, I know. And anybody who's ever had the misfortune of sharing a bedroom with me know as well. We've got about 10 seconds remaining of practice. Good news for the drivers is we're now well into the evening. Darkness is setting upon us here, and the track temperature, I can tell you, is 28 degrees Celsius, so nice and cool for these cars. They're really going to be attacking those braking zones. But without further ado, we're actually going to head straight on over to your starting grid, because it's that time once again for race number 3 of the World GT Championship. And well, it is going to be a tremendous race, and I can tell you that on front row of the grid, as we said, Michael Blake and Pete Harrod, with Simon Nella and Jesse Payne Wilkins on row number 2. Row 3 for Andy Gilmore and Christian Malsharek. Row number 4, for Brendan Stacey and Ethan Critchley. Row number 5 for Phil Samways and Alex Nella, with Ed May and Adam Coles. Row number 6. Row 7 for Andy Shield and Russell Barnes, with Jamie Whitehouse and Jack Elsborn. And row number 8 with Richard Simner and Patrick Faulkner. Row number 9. Row 10 for Andy Archer and Tom Dadswell, with Paul Webster and Jared Ferroni on row number 11. Row 12 for Ben Gregory and Chris Van Der Ness. Row 13 for Armstrong and Hedgecock, with Sedgwick, States, McFarlane and Davidson all the way down 29th and 30th. 31st for Alex Gall, with Hutchinson, Thompson and race winner Adam Watson. 34th, that means that we have got somebody starting from the back of the grid with a penalty. Michael Gray and Kevin Kittleman. With Jonathan Walker, Jack Belton, then your own Kaiser, Adrianson, Son, Evdoka, Final few cars. Albert, Lars van Rijn, Fletcher, Raab, Woodhouse and Drozda, with De Jong and Eric Haag then 50th. Nick Salaputis, Lee Berridge, Jakub Maczewski and David Nichols rounding out a 54 car field. So we have lost one car from the grid. Here we go then, final race of the evening, and the final race for 2 weeks here. 27 degrees, air temperature 28 for the track. The Silverado is confident with no headlights on. He's happy, but the rest of the grid have theirs on here. Peter, once again, it's a good chance for some big points for some AMP drivers.
Yeah, there is, but in these slightly darker conditions, the driver's going to have to be super careful in this visibility and, yeah, making sure they keep themselves out of trouble. And let's see how they get on. This is going to be exciting.
Certainly is, as we go around the curve at Alboreto. Michael Blake backing them up. Now, he has done a lot of oval racing in the past on iRacing as Michael, so rolling starts, you would imagine, would be his sort of thing. Waited, played the percentages, he's gone, and we're going to be underway for the final race of the evening. Green flag in the air. 20 minutes of action remaining here tonight in the World GT Championship, and we're going 3 wide further back in towards the Rettifilio for the first time onto the brakes. Michael Blake leads that one. That Century Sim Racing car, Pete Harrod. Oh, and there's a car around. Who is that? I can't tell, but there's more cars getting punted around into the grass. That's the 79. That's Martin de Jong. So after such a good first race, it's just all unravelled for Martin and ended up further down the field.
I think an issue from, I think it was one of the satellite Mercedes, I think it was Maczewski, you know, right at the back of the pack. I think he's hit problems.
It did look like there was, oh, there's a Ben Gregory facing an obtuse angle there into the Rettifilio, the flame spitting McLaren, and he does get it turned around, so we're all good. He keeps it clear, hopefully a nice safe return to the track. But at the front is Team Mad's Michael Blake ahead of Pete Harrod then in second place. As I say, former teammates, the two of them. Pete used to be in Team Mad. He moved over to Century Sim Racing as well after being in the Pure Sims outfit, don't forget. Former champion of this championship as well as Pete Harrod, so he knows what it takes to win the series, but he's not had much success in the last few seasons of this championship, and he wants to get back up into the winner's circle here.
That he does, yes. There's Pete Harrod going the right way about it now, right in the draft of Michael Blake. Does he have the straight line speed to get past that thundering Mercedes, the muscle from after back? And watch out as well, here's Simon Neller having a good run to start this race, in the boosted Mercedes. Ethan Critchley in there too. We know how quick he is as well. Jesse Payne Wilkins and Shield up there in 6th as well. Meanwhile, we've got one of the Pure Sims cars trying to make their way through this real gaggle here on lap 2.
Oh, there was a squeeze, there was a spin, and unfortunately that satellite racing car is facing the wrong way. It's Jared Corona, yeah. Now, was that him and Jack Sedgwick getting together? It did look like a Ferrari, and there's not too many of them out there. Was certainly a late move into the apex of the corner, so I
think it was maybe Hedgecock actually.
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
Scuderia Altitude.
Through the Della Roja, clattering over the curbs and trying to work their way through. Already some big moves being made in this field. Matthias Drozda, it's worth saying, 14 places gained so far in this race. He's the biggest mover in this one as they go down once again out of the Lesmone. You plunge down underneath the old banking here. There it is over that bridge, and then you climb back uphill. What it does do going into the Ascara chicane, Peter, it lets you actually brake really late into the chicane. Maybe not that late, although I feel with the position of that car, he was helped around.
Yeah, that's the number 64 satellite racing machine.
Adam State.
Adam State. Oh, yeah, I think you're right. It's scary. It's a tricky corner, though, if you catch the curve the wrong way, but we've got to move for the lead here. Pete Harrod going to try to make a move on Michael Blake up the inside. Has to get it done before, though, and he does. Great stuff there from Pete Harrod.
Now, if Pete can run away from this gaggle of cars, because he's got 4 AM drivers behind him here, this is a tremendous opportunity for Pete to potentially get a race victory here. He needs to try and do what they said in Monty Python's Holy Grail and run away from that pack behind you, because you need to gap them out to control it at the front.
I think Tracy Chapman said that as well about in her song Fast Car.
Oh, that's something I never thought I'd hear on a broadcast. Ethan Critchley, we spoke to him between races. He's moved up into 3rd place here. I can see on the timing tower on the left-hand side, so he's making some moves. The boosted car was involved in a little bit of shenanigans there through the second Lesmo. But yeah, Ethan Critchley having a good final race. He said he had the pace in the car, didn't he? Oh, there's a car off at this chicane.
Simon Neller. Oh dear. It's been a pretty disastrous night for Simon Neller so far today.
So what happened there? Was he helped? I didn't catch that, sorry. I just saw it in the background of the shot. He was in 3rd at the start of the lap and he's just dropped down like a stone. Here we go, nobody behind him. Has he clipped the curb? Oh, just carried a little bit too much speed and poof! Oh, that 3M car, I think that was Andy Shield. Very, very close indeed.
Andy Shield, well, it's a good job he's got a good sponsor in 3M, because he might need a change of protective fireproof underwear.
Yeah, he said, oh, there's a boosted car facing the wrong way there at the first chicane. Hopefully get back up nice and cleanly and back and running, which they do. Well, there's all sorts happening here. This is Ed May then. It's the Three Spires Motorsport car, and yeah, gets onto the grass, avoiding the other cars, and around he goes. I've seen many a GT driver in real world racing doing that as well. Ed May also having a little bit of issue with his connection here in this race, but 13.5 minutes remain in this race. It's Pete Harrod at the front of the field ahead of Michael Blake. Ethan Critchley in 3rd. Ed May takes to the gravel trap. He's not having a good day there. He's flashing the headlights, but to be fair, the others, I just think that the others just don't know where he is because of his internet issues there. But yeah, Blake and Critchley are together. They've actually got a little bit of a gap on Jesse Wilkins. So those two could be a little bit of a one to keep an eye on. There's a look to the inside from May, and it's not going to happen because now he's got the 2 Pure Sims cars behind.
He does, and of course Ed May is he's from Norfolk, so yeah, he's maybe forgot to put a 20p in the meter for his internet there, so maybe that's what's going wrong. But he's also at University in Lincoln as well, so I don't know if it's maybe the university internet that's not playing ball there for Ed May, but the Pearson's cars do make their way safely around. That can have potentially disastrous consequences there, but they do get through just about in time.
And they're going to work together, aren't they? I'll say that, although moves across in front of Ed May, actually giving him a bit of a draft. So decided to go 2 by 2 and then backing out of that one. So it's McFarlane ahead of Evdoka. Davidson's up to 17th in this one already. Evdoka, by the way, bit of a recovery drive from him after an incident in that that second race as David Nichols. Oh, Sarah Raab. That's the problem with that chicane. You clip that curb on the inside too much, the sausage curb. I mean, I'm with you, Peter. Those sausage curbs can be sent off to the dark room along with the Turn 1 designer of Oschersleben, wasn't it? That John Clowes was on about.
Yes, yeah, I think so. Yeah, poor old Sarah Rabb there was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Nothing she could do, and that was race-ending crash there. As we ride with Matthias Drojta for Satellite Racing. Not been the best of nights for the Satellite Racing outfit, it must be said. And in their intense battle for the teams championship with Pure Sims, they really have taken a bit of a bloody nose tonight. Oh, spin there out of Ascari, playing havoc here in these dark conditions.
That was Richard Simner. If he's kept that out the wall, careful with your rejoin. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. If he's kept that out the wall, that'll be incredible. But again, he's kicked that. Oh my goodness, that's the full tilt car and Brendan Stacey. I believe was that Phil Samways as well.
That's well, was it?
No, that's Samways. Phil Samways for full tilt V Motorsport. Audi versus Mercedes, and well, there's only one winner in that one, unfortunately. There as Sedgwick moves up nicely into 10th place now. He's ahead of Paul Webster.
And the Tifosi go ballistic.
They'll be setting off fireworks in this night sky.
The Jack Sedgwick, the queues at the Jack Sedgwick merchandise stands will be absolutely round the corner.
As there goes Jim Whitehouse losing the position to James Armstrong, so the Brabham esports driver moving forward in this. Right now I can tell you James Armstrong up, get this, 18, that's 1-8 positions. Sensational stuff from him. Josh Thompson up 21 positions, Ev Durka up 24 as well, so there's some big movers in this field. Jakub Maczewski is up 21 positions, but he's only 32nd in all of this, as there's Jim Whitehouse, and we have been in touch. We will actually arrange a day at Century Sim Racing, but there he is from the facility in Warrington. Purveyors of high quality sim evenings or afternoons for your delectation. There we go, I think that'll pay another hour. So Ed May, he's not having a good day of this one, and he's got some significant damage to the back of his BMW.
Oh, it's not been just gets a little help there from one of the team-mad BMWs there, I think it was. It just clipped Ed on the way through.
The BMW.
I don't know who it was. It was a BMW, but it's the Polo Mint wheels that maybe threw me off there.
As McFarlane and Evdoka trying to work their way past, that's it, McFarlane past Chris van der Ness. Evdoka not able to follow his team leader. I say team leader. He's the leader of the championship. I'm not necessarily saying that there is a number one driver in that championship leading team. Pure Sims esports. Down the inside goes Evdoka, and Van der Ness is just saying, look, there's no point in me fighting that one. I'll try and get onto the back of your slipstream, and away we go again. But once again, Pure Sims Mercedes looks absolutely just lightning here.
It does. It looks on rails. It looks fast. It's the full package, it seems, and it's very, very ominous for the rest of the field. It seems there's bit of side-to-side contact going on there behind Brendan Stacey. Mark Cutterson right there in the thick of the battle as well. He'll be delighted with his. He'll be disappointed to miss out on the win, but delighted with the second place nonetheless, and the points that comes with that from race 2. See what he can do here in race 3. It's been a great night at the office, it must be said, from Josh Thompson, up to 12th already from deep in the pack, from 34th on the grid, and he's up to 11th now, really making moves forward in that BMW.
We lost Michael Gray to a power cut, so that's what's happened to him in this race. We have also lost David Nichols, Chris Maltrek and Lee Berridge from this race. Lee Berridge, I think basically didn't make it to turn 1, did he? In this race. A night to forget for Lee, but fortunately in this series you do get drop weeks to take, so as we mentioned earlier, you don't want to be taking the drop week with a big 0 next to your name, but needs must.
Yeah, there's not a great deal you can do about that one. A power cut, that's a real shame.
I can tell you, by the way, Peter, we've got 3 drivers serving a drive-through penalty. Tyus Drozda, Brendan Stacey, and Mark Fletcher. They've all got drive-through penalties. So 16 is the instant limit around here. And with 6.5 minutes remaining in this race, we've already got some drivers who have hit that instant limit.
Yeah, those incident points handed out, 1 for track limits breaches, which at Monza are regular, 2 for a spin, and 4 for contact with another driver. So, yeah, it shows they can accumulate very, very quickly. And it's a long pit lane here at Monza. It just feels like it goes on forever.
Well, it's the fact that it's a long pit lane, but it's also the fact that you're going so significantly slower than everybody else who's flying past as well. So even when you get back up out of pit lane, you're still losing all that time all the way down to the first chicane.
Yeah, that you are. Yeah, exactly. That really doesn't help. And then picking a good braking point as well into turn 1, that requires a bit of practice as well in the the practice testing sessions, etc. Practicing where you brake when you come out of the pit lane as well. So you see the 3M Mercedes there, Van de Schiel, going past Michael Blake. Good move there from Schiel.
Oh, the Blake's giving it back though. He's getting to the back of him there. There's Josh Thompson with Jack Sedgwick, and he's got the hard charging Alex Davidson behind him as well. So there's 3 quick drivers there, and Tyus Drozda, there you go, Satellite Racing, serving his drive-through penalty. And you can get that little bit of extra speed by changing between the gears. I don't think the gearbox would appreciate doing that, but you can gain that little bit of extra, maybe a second through the pit lane than if you just sat on the limiter on 1 gear. So it is something that the drivers do. And in iRacing, as the gravel goes Sedgwick there, pushing the boundaries of the track and then some. Don't get me started on track limits. I'll be here until next week talking about them. But as we go down towards the Ascara chicane, and it's just that patience. Oh, has Sedgwick actually got a slow down penalty through that?
Yeah, looks like it. Looks like it. That's a shame for Jack Sedgwick. You can hear the screams of disapproval from the Tifosi there. That's not good there for Jack Sedgwick. That's lost him a ton of places, and that's played right into the favour of the Pearson's drivers, who've all rushed past Sedgwick there and gained some freebies, which is really helpful. With just under 4 minutes to go. Coming back to Alex Davidson, he's had a super night at the office. You know, we saw him in race 1 sit behind his teammate and championship rival Ross McFarlane and not really make any attempt to go by, and finished in second. But in these reverse grid races, Paul, he finished 1 place ahead in race 2, and at the moment he's a place ahead in a gap of about 3 seconds back to his teammate.
Now we've got about 2 laps remaining in this race as we continue to see this battling. Oh, contact there! Oh, flash of the headlights, and it was the Pearson's car that contact was made on. I believe that was Josh Thompson making contact with Davidson. Barnes is there as well. But crucially, the lead, there's only half a second between Pete Harrod and Ethan Critchley. Could we be seeing an AM winner in this race here, Peter? It's not without the realms of possibility.
Yeah, well, we said that Pete Harrod had to try and pull away, and he has pulled away from the pack, but Ethan Critchley's run him down. I mean, I think, AM license is not long for this world for Ethan Critchley. I think we'll see him get a promotion after this one, but what a drive from both of these guys, actually. This is, look at Ethan Critchley. He's like, I'm amazing, I'm great, big smile. Relishing this challenge, and it's going to be very tight whether we're 1 lap to go or 2 laps to go here. I think it might just be 2, you know.
He'll be having his team G'ing on here as well, won't he? But the thing is, Pete Harrod, these 2 are teammates. They're both Century Sim Racing drivers. You can't tell because you can barely see a thing now. It's got that dark out there, but they are teammates. So the question is, do they fight it out? I mean, they've got a big enough lead that they could duke it out. Or do they play the team game and get a 1-2? Well, we're getting the answer to that because Critchley to the inside and he takes the lead. The AM driver My goodness, the youngster is doing a fantastic job here, but he's ahead of a former champion here.
Remarkable, absolutely remarkable here from Ethan Critchley, and up into the lead. And this is, I mean, a huge chunk of points, even if he is promoted up from AM to Pro-Am. Well, this will, I mean, this is still, he's got a great chunk of points, even in the context of the Pro-Am Championship. So fantastic stuff. And Andy Scheel up to third as well in the 3M Mercedes. Very, very impressive run from him too.
Your pole sitter Michael Blake is down to 7th place. He got about a second and a half between him and Josh Thompson. So Blake will be just hoping and praying that he can hang on to this one and get himself a good set of points in the car. But Critchley, I mean, I'm racking through my brain. I cannot remember the last AM winner that we had in this series. I'm sure one of the statisticians of the series will be able to tell us that one, but certainly as we're heading down towards the Curva Alboreto, the question is, are we going to get one more lap or not? I believe we may just do that. 15 seconds remaining on the clock to come out of Alboreto. 10 seconds, and yeah, we're going to get one more lap here, so it's not race over for Ethan, and he can't believe it. He's got it all to do again because Pete Harrod is in his slipstream here, Peter.
Can't believe how relaxed he is. I don't know who it is who's speaking to him. I wonder if it's Pete Harrod, but goodness me, he looks so chilled out there, does Ethan Critchley, as they hit the brakes for the chicane for the final time. Meanwhile, Alex Davison is... Now, no, excuse me, that's McFarlane going past on Barnes. So McFarlane pops up into 7th position and will try to get one. If he can catch Michael Blake, he will then be behind his teammate Alex Davison and minimise the points loss. But tell you what, the Drivers' Championship is going to be close after this one.
This season is absolutely sensational for the Drivers' Championship and the Teams' Championship as well. We've got 2 more that have had a drive-through penalty as well. No, one more, sorry. Matt Fletcher has had to head on down pit road for a drive-through penalty. Joe Crony, Brendan Stacey and Drozda. Oh, there's a car cutting across the chicane there. That's an Indy Autosport red car. Jensen Adrianson's. My goodness. In towards the right-hander at Lesmo, trying to hang on, but the Porsche of Marantha's satellite racing car just stays ahead for the time being, does Adrianson's. But we're going to look forward here because we're heading into towards the final corner. Ethan Critchley, well, Pete Harrod is nowhere near him to make a move. He's just going to make it through this final corner, and I tell you what, Jim Whitehouse will be absolutely over the moon with this one because it's Century Sim Esports 1 and 2 across the line. It's an AM winner in Ethan Critchley, his first win in the championship.
Fantastic stuff there from Ethan Critchley, and a 1-2 for Century Sim Racing as well. What a result for them. Our championship contenders. Josh Thompson seals off a very good good day at the office. He moves a little bit further up towards the sharp end of the championship. But Alex Davison finishing in 8th and 1 place ahead of teammate Ross McFarlane.
I can tell you that the top Pro-Am driver, Russell Barnes, finished 11th overall, so he is the winner in Pro-Am. But Ethan Critchley, he had a smile as wide as a Cheshire Cat right there. He is absolutely over the moon with that one. And as I say, Jim Whitehouse, I'm sure he'll be wishing that this was a daytime session so he could get some good photos of the cars going across the line there. But yeah, brilliant stuff, and again, really entertaining racing. He's got the traction control off, he's doing the donuts.
Fantastic, really good stuff there as well from Ethan Critchley. Well, 3/4 of a second, that's an enormous advantage.
It is around here, that's for sure. So it's a win for Ethan Critchley for Century Sim Esports. Not just an overall win, but an AM win as well for him. Absolutely fantastic for Ethan. Pete Harrod in second place. He's the best pro out there today for this final race for Century Sim Racing. So 1-2 for them. Andy Shield for 3M UK. Must be those gloves that help him out to get him into third place ahead of James Armstrong from Brabham Esports. I can tell you, James gained 21 places in that race to finish in fourth place. Jesse Payne Wilkins for Parabellum Racing Team Simability, fifth place overall, second in AM. Great result for him, with Alex Neller ahead of Josh Thompson, Alex Davidson and Ross McFarlane, the two Pure Sims Esports drivers, 8th and 9th. Ahead of Michael Blake for Team Mad, started on pole position, finishes in 10th place. A good result for him, third in AM. Your top Pro-Am, as I said, Russell Barnes finishing in 11th place for Altitude Esports Blue, ahead of Michael Evdoka and Jack Sedgwick, with Paul Webster second in Pro-Am for Full Tilt V Motorsports. Jim Whitehouse 15th for Century Sim Racing, ahead of Chris Van Der Ness, who was the third Pro-Am driver for Evo SR. Tom Dadswell 17th ahead of Jack Osborne, with Jonathan Walker and Jensen Adrianton's having a little bit of drama at the end there, finishing in 20th place. 21st, Jakub Majewski. He gained 33 places for the Maradness Satellite E-Stars team, ahead of his teammate Alex Gall in 22nd. Andy Archer 23rd ahead of Adam Watson, with Mark Hutchinson, Euron Kaiser 25th and 26th places. Kevin Kittleman and in 27th ahead of Patrick Faulkner, with Andy Gilmore and Adam Hedgecock in 30th place. Phil Samways 31st ahead of Ben Gregory, with Yanis Olbert having a recovery drive in 33rd. Brian Son in 34th ahead of Matthias Drozda. Nick Salaputis, Lars Van Rijn, with Jared Caroni, Mark de Jong, Mark Fletcher, and Adam State, Brennan Stacey, Mark Woodhouse, Ed May, Adam Coles, Eric Haag, with Jack Belton, Simon Neller, Sarah Rabb and Richard Simner. And drivers who did not finish: David Nichols, Christian Maltrek, Michael Gray and Lee Berridge. Thank you very much to Morgan Butler, who said possibly the last AM overall winner was Dean Powell back in either season 8 or season 9. So it's good to see some AM winners in the past there. I told you somebody who was a bit of a statistician for the series would know the thing or two, but what a performance from Ethan Critchley. He gained 7 places in that race. He didn't have it easy.
I'm virtually speechless there. It's just superb, and shows just how much of a top driver he is. And Century Sim Racing, they've made a very good signing there. They'll be wanting to keep a hold of him for as long as possible.
They certainly will, and another good night as well, you have to say, for the Pure Sims Esports team. They had that Mercedes dialed in. I mean, again, it was 8th and 9th. So they just waltzed their way through the field there. They look a formidable team for the team's championship this season.
Yeah, it's a flawless performance tonight, and there's pitfalls at every corner in a grid of over 50 cars. Some are like Monza, and they just delivered to the letter tonight. They'll be very, very pleased. And for Satellite Racing, it is very much back to the drawing board, and it's going to have to be a lot of hard work over the next 2 weeks. Big opportunity, Road Atlanta endurance race. Satellite Racing, they can come back, they can strike back, and that's where they need to do it.
Right, let's hopefully try and get a word with our race winner in this one. Peter, take it away. Once again, race winner now, Ethan Critchley.
Oh, Ethan, we're going to have to make that a habit between race 2 and 3. You're a race winner here in the World GT Championship. How do you feel?
Well, I said before the race, when we did the interviews after race 2, I was like, a win is possible, and luckily it was. Yeah, I had such a good first lap. I think I made 4 positions in turn 1, and it flowed from there on in, and managed to get P3 and P2 quite done early. Then me and Pete were just trying to push away from each other, push away from the rest of the pack, because obviously we're worried about the pros coming through. You know, Josh and everyone else. They were rapid the whole day. But yeah, big thanks to Pete for letting me through. Just over the moon.
I mean, tell us about those last few laps, because we could see you from the onboard camera. You were laughing away, joking away. Who was it you were speaking with? And can you reveal to us what it was that you were saying?
Well, I got a Discord notification from what's his name, Morgan Butler. He was tagging me in Discord, talking to me, and then obviously I'm on chat with Jim, Pete, Andy, everyone. So yeah, we're all just trying to keep it nice and chilled, but sometimes you can't let your emotions get to you. And I think I started to laugh a bit too much towards the end, but it worked.
It certainly did. And if I was to guess, was Morgan Butler messaging you about how your AM license is already in the bin? Would that be the case?
Well, he was actually messaging me about toilet roll, which is at the back of my camera, which for a cold, by the way, just for any misconceptions. But we'll leave it at that.
Well, that is some way to finish a race winner's interview. It's toilet roll for a cold, absolutely. Well done, Ethan, on a super drive. Well done, and good luck for the next round.
Thank you very much.
My goodness, that's something I never thought I'd hear in an interview. That's for sure. But thank you very much, Ethan, for that one. Thank you. Let's go and have a word now with Lord Hedge, actually. Let's have a word with Adam Hedgecock right now. Let's try and get a bit of decorum in this interview. Adam, I mean, talk us through that night, having to start the second race on pole position. I mean, that must be a little bit daunting, seeing all those quick guys behind you.
It's been a long time since I've started on pole, and it's, I had to go and stretch out a little bit and compose myself, but it's a great experience because you know that the quick guys will be arriving at some point, and you'll know yourself. You've been pro-am in this. You just try to minimize the time that you lose and still bag a good haul of points. So that was the mindset. Managed to lead a lap, which was great, and then to settle in and just try and stay near the top 10.
Well, I mean, that's it. You hit the nail right on the head there. You look. It's an opportunity for you potentially to get some really, really good points. So you don't want to get involved in somebody else's accident in a race like this. But how have you found the opening quarter of the season? Because we've got a week off next week. How have you found this first portion of the season?
Every season the standard just gets higher and higher and higher, and I mean, this season for the first time in a long time I'm actually practicing and I'm still slow. Everyone's taken that step again, so it's uber competitive. It's really, I want to say nerve-wracking, but in a good way. Like the adrenaline goes, you know you're going to be fighting all night, and you know there's going to be great camaraderie. So the first quarter of the season it's met all the expectations. It's been tough. It's been a little bit bonkers. Last week was a bit crazy, but yeah, it's World GT, and this is why we keep coming back.
Absolutely, and we also keep coming back for your excellent in-sim photos as well.
Oh, thank you, Paul. The fish are doing great, Peter. I will be back on cam at some point, so I can display the fish again. I might just show the fish on my cam. Like, who wants to see my ugly mug, right? I'll just put the fish tank on.
Well, Adam, thank you very much for that and for the update on the fish, and all the best. Enjoy your week off next week.
Will do. Thank you very much, chaps.
And Peter, we've just got time very quickly. Why don't you take it away with Ben Gregory?
Ben Gregory joined us now in the RaceSpotTV commentary box. Ben, you do know this is not classic GT in that old McLaren of yours?
Yeah, but it's still really good. Lighting up the track as we go. Extra taillights.
It is. I mean, the flamethrowers are something straight out of Mad Max. It's fantastic. Tell us about your night. It's such a packed grid, a real deep quality of field. What's it like racing in the middle of that, well, melee, really?
Oh, melee is definitely the word for it. It was extremely tight. You've got to be really careful. Like I came up with quite a few 4Xs just from people just stacking up and just small taps to the back, and it's but once you get through it, it's really good racing. I think it's just as soon as everyone's spread out just a bit. Yeah, just a little. It was fantastic.
And do you find you get less rear end contacts with the flamethrowers at the back?
No, actually, you'll be shocked. People still driving to the back of it.
I see. Looking ahead, 2 weeks to go until Road Atlanta. Plan between now and then. That circuit should suit the old Macca a little bit better, you think?
No, actually, no. We were actually hoping. Unfortunately, my teammate, one of Booster teammates, Tim, the other McLaren, couldn't be here, and we were actually hoping today would actually been really suited to the McLaren, because big long straights, lots of short, quick corners. No, we're just getting absolutely mugged on the straights by a few of the German cars. So we're hoping. Honestly, Long Beach is more what we're looking forward to. Hopefully, that's going to be our comeback.
Well, we shall look forward to that, Ben. Thanks so much for coming in to chat to us, and keep those flames throwing.
Yeah, thank you very much. Cheers.
Well, I mean, there we go. That's a word from a few of the drivers from today, and certainly it was a thrilling roller coaster of a ride, I would say, tonight. A roller coaster of emotions for a couple of the drivers, especially.
And that was just the interviews. My goodness. Yeah. We know how about Ben Gregory's flamethrowers, Adam Hedgecock's fish, and Ethan Critchley's tissues.
Let's look forward, because of course the championship now takes a week off, so next week we're not going to be here. I know you're all gutted about that, everybody watching this, but we'll be back in 2 weeks time, August the 22nd at 8 o'clock BST for an endurance round. That's an hour and 45-minute race around Road Atlanta. Now, this has got me excited because it's a true endurance racetrack, is this one. It's got everything. It's got bumps. It's got twisty turns that challenge the cars, but you've also got that long
Michelin
back straightaway. Yeah, Michelin Man as well. But, Peter, I mean, what isn't there to say about this venue for an endurance race?
It's one of the best racetracks in the world, simple as that, and it's made for endurance racing. It's hosted the Petit Le Mans for nearly 25 years now, and we're going to have our own little Petit Le Mans here in the World GT Championship, and I can't wait. 2 weeks is a long time.
Yeah, well, it is certainly one of the best tracks in the world. A certain Drew Adamson will say it's the best, but I challenge him on that one. Anyway, but as we wrap this one up, what a night it has been in the World GT Championship. We've had an AM winner for the first time in a long time. Ethan Critchley's first win in the championship as well. He'll be delighted going into the break. We'll see you again in 2 weeks' time here on the World GT Championship. From Paul Smith, Peter Mackay, and Hugo Luis behind the scenes. Goodbye.